As we mentioned at the top of the show, extreme weather is affecting much of the country, including right here in Michigan. During these scorching temperatures, it's important to know how to keep kids safe because they want to play outside. And joining us now in studio to talk about it is Sarah Rauner, you said, with Corewell Health and Beaumont Hospital in Troy to share signs to look out for and how to keep these kids cool and safe while they're outdoors. So Sarah, I have two little ones.
Okay.
And they want to be outside. I'm like, it's hot outside.
It is.
What do I need to watch out for? And moms like me.
Oh yes, it's very natural because in Michigan we only get so many months of the warm weather to want to just automatically get out there. But first and foremost, we have to know that you can't jump out there and spend 10 days on the hottest day, 10 hours on the hottest days out there because our bodies have to adjust. So just a little planning like all of us moms do. Make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you keep your kids hydrated. So it's planning to take the extra water, take some Pedialyte or Gatorade depending on the age of your child, popsicles or anything to really keep them hydrated other than just water.
Okay.
Also, clothing is so important. You want to make sure that you're wearing light clothing, light colored clothing, clothing that breathes, or moisture wicking clothing as well, along with hats and sunglasses to protect yourself and keep yourself a little bit shaded if you can.
And another thing, water play. Kids want to get in the pool or run through sprinklers or what have you. What clothes hats in the pool, not so much, right?
You're right. So the most important part is actually breaks, taking breaks, knowing that if you're out there, you've got to reapply that sunscreen every hour very diligently. And even if you do that, you might get a little pink, but you're not having all those sunburns that we're worried about. So staying hydrated ahead of time, wearing things. You can get long sleeve swim shirts that you can put on that will be nice and cool to jump in and out of, but hats are really almost impossible. So good breaks, staying hydrated, and keeping that sunscreen on.
And break it down for us. What happens to a child's body when it gets really hot?
So when they get really hot, and kids and elderly people are really the ones that are at most risk, their body actually starts to have some thermal regulation issues. So that, you get hot, you're exercising, or you're outside, you start to sweat. That sweat is really what keeps us cool. It evaporates off, takes some of that heat with it. When you get to the point where we're no longer sweating, our core body temperature starts to rise. Okay. And there's extremes of it. It can be as simple as a rash all the way to actually heat stroke, which is a medical emergency. You call 911 for it. So, it's hard with kids sometimes to determine because one of those symptoms is actually confusion or irritability. We see a lot of toddlers.
Right.
Toddlers get irritable. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I don't want to do that. So you really have to be aware of other signs, like your child's not maybe urinating as much, their diapers aren't as heavy, or you're starting to notice that their lips are dry. Really fussy or tired. They don't want to eat. That's a big one. And speaking of eating, push foods like fruits. Fruits are great. Watermelon, things that have some of that moisture in it as well.
Yeah, okay, so what's the difference between a heat stroke and heat exhaustion?
So heat exhaustion is you're to the point where, okay, your body's dehydrated. You're not creating as much sweat, or you're over sweating and just haven't tipped that at that point in time, but you'll see some headaches, thirsty, dizziness, nausea sometimes, fatigue, like, gosh, I ran up these steps 10 times, but I can't get back up them this last time. Those are the early signs where you really need to take a step back, take a break, hydrate, get out of the sun and into the shade, and do things in a little bit more smaller increments of time. Heat exhaustion, we've pushed you over the limits. Now we're actually having the major thermal regulation issues, and at some point in time, your body's temperature isn't going to be able to slow itself down. So, and it can happen pretty quickly, between 10 to 15 minutes. So it's important when you're outside to keep an eye on your kids and also have that situational awareness of where can we go where's the closest tree? Where's the closest building that we can get to? Where's the shade? As simple as toss an umbrella in your diaper bag or your bag. An umbrella will shade you from the sun for a short period of time. Take a washcloth, put it in and freeze it overnight in a baggie. Throw that in your cooler with all your stuff. You can take that out, wring it out, put it on the back of the neck and on your armpits to kind of cool the kids down.
Oh, those are great tips. And we talk about staying hydrated, and you also mentioned fruits, but what does that really mean? How much water should your child be drinking?
So the key is actually hydrating before, during, and after, because we're going to have a stretch here where it's really warm. So we want to hydrate at night. We want to hydrate during the day. It's about every hour we should be having at least 16-ish ounces. It's a good thing they have all those water bottles that you can grade, or I want to make sure I'm drinking 2 water bottles. There's lots of different ways you can manage that. Staying on top of it, almost to the point where you're pushing it to them where I'm not thirsty anymore, Mom. Well, that's great, because once we get to thirst, we're already bordering, if not dehydrated.
Yeah. All right, Sarah, where can people find more information? Because you gave out some really good tips.
Thanks. I'm a mom too. So, you know, you can go to lots of different websites. The CDC has some really good stuff on the differentiation between heat rash and heat exhaustion.
Okay.
They also have some good tips on staying hydrated. The American Academy of Pediatrics is another good one. Even Rochester City, Troy, they all have places that you can go to that will direct you to the right areas. Just remember, hydration, cool, and take breaks.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us and all your great tips. And yes, it's so important for these kids to stay cool because they want to be outside. All right.
Thanks.